I'm Matt, and today I'm going to do a little instructional video basically showing you how to do that sort of thing. What I found when I started to look into these Cuban timber kind of grooves is that there's nothing really around with guys showing you how to build this kind of beat. You know, you can kind of look at it and work out maybe what's going on, but there's nothing really clear out there about what people are doing. And that can be hard if you don't come from Latin music background like myself. I've only been doing this for a few years. I've been playing drums for 20, but I've only been playing Latin for a few years, so it was quite foreign to me to work it out. Basically over time I kind of listened a lot and watched a lot of guys and just kind of picked up what they were doing with each hand and each foot, trying to build these kind of beats. And you start slow, you work out, you kind of do a bit of a rudimentary beat, and then you build on it and you build on it. And obviously I'm still going, I'm still working this thing out. But the more confident you get with it, the more you can fill in around it, do a lot of colourful stuff with it. But getting the basic beat down pat, that's where it's at, and hopefully this little lesson can kind of show you how to do that. So let's begin. Let's break it down. So to start with, you need to look at your bongo bell pattern. This is your main thing. It holds the whole groove together. Everything else kind of fills in around it. As long as you got that bongo bell happening, it's that solid driver. Everything else can sort of float around and bounce around, but if the bongo bell's tight, it keeps everybody in time. So your bongo bell has to match your clave. And generally in timba you're playing like a rumba clave. So the groove I was just playing then, you basically say it was like a 2-3 rumba clave. And it goes something like this. That sort of style. So you're playing like a 1, like that sort of style. So when you match the bongo bell up to the clave, it's going to sound something like this. That sort of side. You can see how those strikes are the same on the clave and the bell. It's really important to get that one right because everything else falls around the clave. Very complicated, completely different discussion video. You can spend hours studying clave. I'm not going to go into it, but just make sure that bongo bell's matching your clave. Secondly, then you need to look at your hats. Now typically these guys are rocking the hats on every beat like that. So you're going basically like that. And that helps keep time as well. That sort of gives it that nice little gives it that little bit of extra colour as well. The kick drum, typically your kick drum, just salsa, timba, these sorts of grooves, the kick drum's kind of in there, but it's not your main sort of driver like it is in rock and pop and all those sorts of styles. So with your kick drum, you're just adding it in there. It's a little bit of colour. That's pretty much it. It's just adding that little bit of fill in. Most of the time, it's just dropping in there to add a bit of extra something, a little bit of emphasis or whatever. So in the timber groove, you're basically looking at something like this. That sort of style. Once you start putting the snare in there and everything else, you start to vary the kick drum. But that's your basic kick. We're just going to work on this stuff for now. No snare work as yet. So basically, as I said, this bell, it's playing like a mambo pattern but slightly different. So it's kind of adding some fill in to this bell. So I'm going to play this bell, the bongo pattern. I'm going to play the mambo pattern, the slight variation. And you can have a listen to how they interact. So this is kind of doing like your typical mambo pattern, which is like a but it's adding a couple of little beats and it's taking some stuff out. So it's actually like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So once you add them together, it's like a... It's really important that you get that and that happening, the same little strokes. You don't want it to sound... You don't want that sort of thing happening. That's just messy. It can take a bit of time to get that in your head too. I know it took me a little while to get them. It's, you know, you would think that playing two hands at the same time would be easy, but the problem is because this one's going and this is going. So you're playing one stroke a lot of the time and then doubling the next couple. Takes your head a bit to get around that. So you put all that together and basically sounds something like this. Once you start adding the snare drum in, it's kind of, basically the snare will fit around that clave. Typically it's like on the second stroke of your clave, so it's going to be like that, which translates into what I was playing before, just something like... Yeah, so that's pretty much where you hear the snare dropping in usually. You can also add in an offbeat. You can do it kind of like. That sort of style. Yeah, and that's basically it. That's pretty much where the groove is. Typically, your hats, once you've come off the cowbell to the hat to the snare, because you're dropping that hat on every beat, it's not too much variation to go. You just keep it open a little bit before you drop it again. Just sort of rock your foot back a little bit, keep it open. You don't have to do that. That tends to be what a lot of guys do. They just sort of bring that in. It gives it a nice sort of segue into the snare drum. Yeah, this again adds a little bit of colour. So that's the end of the video. That's it from me. Phew. Hopefully you've learned something good. Hopefully you can take something out of this. And you know, hit me up if you've got any other questions. If you want to know anything else. I'm happy to make more videos, show you some more stuff, what I'm doing. If you're listening to this and you think something's not quite right, definitely let me know. I'm just a gringo playing Latin music, so you know, I make this stuff up as I go. I've only been doing it a few years. But you know, I try to have fun with it. I try and do it right as well, but sometimes I might miss something, so let me know. Yeah, but when you take this beat, just make it your own, you know, give it your own personality. As long as you've got the clave and the cowbell happening right, build everything else around it, have some fun with it, just mix it up, be creative, give it your own flair, your own style, because there's no point just copying other dudes. That's just, you know, anybody can do that. You don't want to be a robot, so just do it your way, and as long as you get the fundamentals, everything else is just fun. It just builds colour into it. So I'm going to stop talking now because I've done way too much of that, and I'm just going to have a play, really hoping I don't muck up because, you know, I'm on camera and all that. Nah, let's just give it a go. Thanks for watching. See you later.